My name is Nettie Wakefield. The date is the 6th of January 2025. It's a wet and overcast day in London. I'm recording this from my studio in Waterloo. I'm a British artist working and living in London. I grew up in southwest London. I have a bachelor's degree in history of art from Leeds and a master's in drawing from Wimbledon College of Art, which is part of UAL. My mother is a psychotherapist but has an innate talent for drawing and painting. She never trained or did it as a profession. It was just something she did in her spare time. Still does to this day, and has even converted the shed at the bottom of the garden into a little painting studio. I remember looking at her life drawings with wonder as a child and aspiring to have a gift like hers. I've always loved the drawings of Watteau and other preparatory sketches throughout art history, but rather as the final piece than a preparatory sketch or plan. Studying and analysing paintings has definitely informed my practice, noticing how artists respond or rebel against the times and what they experience. I always say that what I became known for, my reverse portraits, came about during my master's degree, but actually I think it originated in childhood. I've often had an interest in hair. I hated my own hair growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, where what was considered beautiful was straight, thin hair. I had quite the opposite, and I used to hide it in this uniform low bun every day. So there's definitely a fascination with it and its cultural symbolism, mainly for women. I've also always tended to veer towards working within a series. The reverse portrait series, which I must have done about 100 by now, social distancing series of body of work I produced during lockdown during 2020, showing isolated figures lost in time and space, and a series of drawn objects which is still ongoing to this day. I'm drawn to artists who depict the charm in the mundane, and I do like a little bit of wit or humour in work as well. Robert Longo is just a genius. The way he captures those dancers in motion, those have got to be my favourite of all time. C.J. Hendry, who's a contemporary Australian artist, her hyper-realistic drawings, I can see so many similarities with my own work. I discovered her when I was doing a series of playing card drawings, and I noticed she'd done the same. Hers are much better, of course. She's a machine. Gavin Turk, one of the YBAs. I loved his bronze sculptures. Specifically, he did one of a bin bag, which was sort of, you wouldn't tell that it wasn't a plastic bin bag if you didn't touch it and realise that it was actually bronze. He also did a sleeping bag which had the form of a human inside, which I thought was really powerful. Touched briefly on Watteau's red chalk drawings earlier. I just think they're so breathtakingly beautiful. There was a great exhibition dedicated to them at the Royal Academy that I'll never forget. And finally, I suppose you could say my mother was my first and biggest influence. I'm focusing on 2 group shows at the moment. The first is one called Post-Human, which I've done a few for. There's been a few of these Post-Human exhibitions before. This is, I think, the 5th or 6th. It's in Los Angeles, and another group show which is also in Los Angeles, which opens in March. And I'm also planning a sketching workshop at Sketch Club at the end of this month for Blue Monday, which should be exciting. The biggest challenges I find about being an artist is, of course, self-doubt. When you put so much of yourself into your work, it becomes so close to you and you start to wonder, is this any good? It just doesn't matter. Just forget all of those thoughts, I suppose, and just focus on the process. Loneliness. I think it's important to have a community and to keep in touch with those who are also going through the same thing. Finding motivation can be tricky sometimes. It's helpful to have a routine or some sort of structure. Everyone has their rituals. I definitely have mine. I have to wake up, get a coffee, sit down, make sure everything is in place before I start, and feel calm. The advice that I would give to my younger self is to treat the success the same as the failures. Stay true to yourself. Try not to focus on what other people think so much or other people's advice. and just keep going. About 6 or 7 years ago, I made a polished bronze sculpture of a semi-deflated blow-up doll. Took 9 months to make because it's difficult to cast something that isn't solid, i.e. like flexible. I exhibited it alongside some large drawings in downtown Los Angeles in 2018, and that was probably the most unconventional exhibition or departure away from my normal practice. I don't listen to music necessarily. I do listen to podcasts, and I also watch TV. I know this might sound odd, but I'll watch an entire series in one sitting, or like a movie, and like not easy watching. Perhaps I have undiagnosed ADHD or something, but I find it easier to concentrate on drawing when I'm listening to something really intently, or when I'm on the phone, or I don't know, maybe different sensory stimulation has something to do with it, listening and looking. I definitely can't listen to music and read a book though, so I don't know what that's about. The best reaction I've had to my artwork is I really like it when people see things in my work that reminds them of something in their lives that are important to them. So whenever they look at my work, they feel that sense of comfort. That's a really good feeling. And I hope that that's what people take away from it.